Florida and Arizona as the fight for women's reproductive rights takes center stage in both of those states. So if we start in Arizona, the Senate has now voted to repeal the 1864 near total abortion ban that was set to go into effect in June. Well, Democrats picking up 2 Republican votes to repeal it after it passed in the House last week. Governor Katie Hobbs is expected to sign it into law. Once that happens, a 2022 statute banning the procedure after 15 weeks of pregnancy would become Arizona's prevailing abortion law. In Florida, there's a 6-week ban, though, on abortion taking effect today. That's before many women even know that they're pregnant. President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris placing blame for Florida's Heartbeat Protection Act, which bans abortion after the 6th week of pregnancy. In most cases, they're placing that squarely on the shoulders of former President Donald Trump. Vice President Harris in Jacksonville, Florida today, speaking on the topic of reproductive rights. Let's take a listen.
Understand who is to blame. Former President Donald Trump did this. As of this morning, 4 million women in this state woke up with fewer reproductive freedoms than they had last night.
I want to bring in our ABC News senior congressional correspondent Rachel Scott, who's in Saginaw, Michigan, where former President Trump is set to speak in just under an hour, along with our senior White House correspondent Selena Wang, who's in Florida covering the vice president. So, Rachel, let's start here with you. Clearly, Democrats capitalizing on this, but in Arizona, we saw some division along party lines today, and within the party, 2 Republicans voting to repeal that strict abortion ban. It was met with strong opposition, Rachel, and harsh language from other Republicans in the party. So how will Donald Trump approach this disagreement within his own party here?
Yeah, even though that bill has now cleared the Arizona State House and it's going to be on its way to the Democratic governor's desk there in Arizona, you said it, Kana. You still had the vast majority of Republicans in that state house vote against repealing this law that dates back to the Civil War, that was enacted before Arizona was even a state, before women even had the right to vote. We know that former President Donald Trump has said that the Arizona state ban went too far. He was calling on state lawmakers to get it right, to go back to this 15-week ban, which is something that he has told people privately that he supports. But look, the former president is also someone who appointed 3 of the Supreme Court justices who overturned Roe versus Wade and has cleared the way for these state restrictions to go into place, like we are seeing happening right there in Florida, where Selena Wang is today, and where the vice president made that strong appeal against the former president, Kana.
He certainly did, Rachel. And Selena, to you, what are you hearing right now from abortion care providers as they attempt to pivot with this new strict abortion ban in Florida?
Yeah, Kana, well, actually, right now I'm inside a Planned Parenthood clinic in Jacksonville, Florida, and abortion providers here, they're already having to turn patients away. Staff here tell me that they've been trying to educate patients in the region in the weeks leading up to this, but there's still a lot of fear and confusion. I spoke to one of the providers here, Dr. Shelley Tien, and she says that now all she can do when a woman comes to her and she's past 6 weeks is to help provide her some resources about where she can go to find the closest abortion clinic. And Kana, it is not close. Take a listen to what she told me.
Currently, right now, patients can have an abortion in North Carolina till 12 weeks. After that, Virginia. After that, Illinois, Kansas, and then the East Coast and West Coast. So we are talking hundreds upon thousands of miles that patients have to travel for essential health care.
Now the entire southern region of the U.S., there are almost no options for women.
That is correct.
So, Kana, look, this 6-week abortion ban in Florida is sending shockwaves not just in this state, but across the southern region. And there are some narrow exceptions for this ban, including for rape, incest, and to save the life of the mother. But abortion providers say those cases are very hard to prove. And in states like Florida, doctors face the threat of losing their medical license or worse.
All right, Selena, thank you. And so, Rachel, back to you there. Look, do you think that the former President Donald Trump will address these 2 major headlines today as he's set to speak? What is he going to say to voters?
Yeah, and it is notable because this is the first time in essentially 20 days that the former president is back out on the campaign trail. As you know, he's been stuck inside that Manhattan courthouse, and he's already come out and veered off the teleprompter and talked about the issue of abortion. Because if there's one thing about Donald Trump, it's that his senior aides will remind you that this is someone that likes to be on the winning side of an issue. So for the former president, he has acknowledged that a lot of his stance here is political. He is keenly aware that the side of abortion rights has won in all 6 states where it has been on the ballot. And so even today, even after the former president has gotten a lot of backlash in that Time magazine article saying that he would not stand in the way if states want to monitor pregnant women to make sure they comply with the abortion bans in their states, or even whether or not they want to go after or prosecute pregnant women if they decide to terminate their pregnancies in states with bans, he's standing by those words, saying that it should still be up to the states. The former president expected to touch down here in Michigan, a critical battleground state, in just a few hours to speak to this crowd behind me. But Kana, I will say it's important to note here, Arizona is one of those states, we talked about this, where abortion will be on the ballot in the fall. And so even though you have the state house repealing that abortion ban in that state, the Democratic governor hoping voters in that state and elsewhere enshrine abortion rights in the state's constitution this fall, Kana.
And Rachel, do you anticipate the former president being pressed at all to be a little bit more clear about where he stands? Because as you mentioned, he keeps continuing to say it should be left up to states, but there's still some gray area in his stance.
Yep. Exactly. And Kana, look, the former president is not very direct on this issue at all, because even though he says it should be left up to the states, that it doesn't matter whether or not he's comfortable or uncomfortable with a specific state's abortion ban, he's also made it clear that he believes that the abortion ban that was just repealed in the state of Arizona went too far. And so we're seeing the former president try to walk a fine line on this issue. But of course, what we do know is his record. And Donald Trump out on the campaign trail, he often boasts about appointing those 3 Supreme Court justices that supported overturning Roe versus Wade. And as you heard from the vice president and from other Democrats today, that certainly did clear the way for the types of sweeping abortion bans we are seeing take place across the country. There in Florida, where Selena Wang is, that is now effectively an abortion desert. You have abortion ban there now at 6 weeks, and all the nearby states as well. There are similar abortion bans, which means that women have to travel hundreds of miles if they want to get abortion access, Kana.
Certainly, and we know not everyone has the money to do things like that. Rachel Scott, Selena Wang, our thanks to both of you, as always.